How would you describe Molly's personality?
She was always happy, bubbly, goofy. She just liked to have fun pretty much, I guess. She would run pretty much anywhere from 1 to 6 miles almost every day, barring some extreme weather, she would go on a run every day. The last Snapchat that I received from her?
Yeah, what?
Yes.
Yeah. When did you actually open that Snapchat?
The next day.
The next day, so Thursday, let's move to that, July 19th. Did you send Molly a message in the morning?
Yes, I sent her the same good morning message that I always send her.
And what is that good morning message?
Good morning, beautiful, and then like a kissy face or something like that.
Okay. Did you receive any response from her?
No.
Was that unusual?
I didn't even notice. I received a call from Emily Fenner, one of her coworkers at the daycare, and she said that Molly had not called or showed up for work.
Once you got that call from, or that communication from Ms. Fenner, did you become worried?
Yes.
And what did you do as a result of that?
I contacted pretty much everybody that I could think of to try to get a hold of Molly as well as I called her own cell phone multiple times.
And had anybody had any success?
Nobody had any success.
Do you remember how many, I won't ask you who, but do you remember how many phone calls or texts that you made in an attempt to try to find where Molly was at?
I do not remember the number, but it was a lot.
All right, so go back to the summer of 2018 when Mollie Tibbetts was first reported missing. There was a search for Mollie Tibbetts, and of course, all eyes are going to initially go to, all right, well, who's her boyfriend? Well, that's her boyfriend testifying in court today. And of course, people wanted to know, where was he? What was their relationship like, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go out to Davenport, Iowa right now. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter joins us live. Chanley, I remember when Molly went missing, this was such a huge story, a huge search. And of course, all eyes at first are going to go to, the person who was closest to her at the time, which is the man who testified today, Dalton Jack.
Certainly. He was her boyfriend for about 3 years, and he was quickly, though, ruled out by the authorities. He was out of town. What he told the jury today, he was out of town for work, and that he had several alibis and people that he was working with and hanging out with the night she disappeared, and even had a roommate at the hotel where he was staying while working. And all of that seemed to check out to the police. But he did testify that he talked to police several times during the investigation, giving them information. They searched his cell phone, of course, because we hear about what they found on his Snapchat and the text messages between him and Mollie Tibbetts. So we talked about this, I know, last night, the extensive investigation the police took on in the weeks just trying to find Mollie Tibbetts. He was certainly one of their leads.
Well, the cross-examination of Dalton Jack today was really something else, because I think it gave us an indication of what the defense is going to do here. They're going to try to make everyone look suspicious, everyone look like they're lying, and, oh, it could have been this person, could have been that person. Let's begin with a little piece of that cross. Let's watch.
You recall telling the agents that on the 18th of July, the night that you say Molly disappeared, and that you were in Dubuque, that you finished work around 6:30 p.m. You recall telling them that on the 27th?
No.
Do you recall telling the agents that you showered, and that night you watched Rush Hour 1 in your room?
Is this the night of the 18th?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay. Now, your testimony today is that you were out with the boys playing games and drinking beers, right?
Yes.
So you told the officers on the 27th of July a different story, right?
I suppose so.
I mean, if I showed you the report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Oh, that's a little odd. That's a little odd. I mean, this is a missing persons investigation, a murder investigation, and he's telling one thing to the police and testifying to something else?
Yeah, and the defense brought all of that out on cross-examination. His inconsistent statements throughout the time that he spoke to police, again, it sounded like multiple times that he followed up with the police, but he did indicate on cross-examination that he had been drinking some beers. He didn't remember a lot of details, Vinny. In fact, it came to a point where the defense attorney was also calling him out on details that he didn't remember, even saying, "Isn't this the love of your life? She had just disappeared. Wouldn't you want to remember all of these details about what you were doing in the hours that she disappeared?" And he said, "No, I just don't remember." And then finally the defense attorney says, "It sounds like you're just remembering things that are in your favor." And that, of course, was objected to by the prosecution. But yes, he changed his story that night. But again, the police were able to corroborate what he told them with the witnesses and the people he worked with and the roommate he stayed over with in that work trip. And of course, all the other information that they pursue in finding out who's responsible.
Convincing police is one thing, and I guess the defense just has to raise a reasonable doubt. So I think one way they're going to attempt to do that is to try to make a lot of people in this case, surrounding this case, look suspicious, and it begins with the boyfriend. Another part of this that was a little troubling, I think, for a lot of folks is that Dalton Jack, the boyfriend of Mollie Tibbetts, apparently may have been seeing some other women. Let's take a listen to that part of the cross-examination.
You also told officers on that same interview information that you withheld before, right?
Correct.
And that information that you withheld before was that you'd had a relationship with a woman other than Mollie, right?
Correct.
Objects this outside the scope.
Overruled. Who was that woman?
Her name was Jordan Lamb.
Okay. And what did you tell officers the reason you withheld that information?
I didn't deem it necessary.
You didn't deem it necessary.
I didn't think that it was pertinent to the case.
So you didn't think it was pertinent to tell law enforcement officers that you having an affair on your true love was not pertinent to the case, right?
I was 19 years old.
So what?
Objects argument.
Sustained. Explain to me what you mean by that.
I was 19 years old. It was the beginning of the relationship, and I screwed up one time. Mollie knew about it, and we got past it.
So it was the beginning of the relationship that you had an affair on Mollie?
Yes.
3 days. 3 days before Mollie ends up missing, she told you that she was upset and sad because of your relationship with Jordan, right?
Yes.
The day before she ends up missing, you learned that she and Hope Beck had talked about your relationship with yet another woman named Tara, right?
Objections, calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
I don't recall that at all.
You don't know that?
No.
Either you don't know it or you don't recall it.
Don't recall it.
Okay.
All right, can you give us some more details here? Is there another woman? Because he testified that he messed up once, right? But if there's another woman, it wouldn't have been messing up just once. Now, he's not married, I understand that, but it's his testimony saying he messed up once.
Right, but Vinny, I heard multiple names. I heard Jordan, of course, who he mentioned, Tara, Emily, and of course Mollie. Seems quite the ladies' man, but he mentioned those relationships, and that's what the defense was cross-examining him on. And the defense went on to cross-examine about how Mollie was jealous of some of these other women. In fact, the day before she went missing, a friend told her about the Tara woman that allegedly he had also been with, and that she was upset about that. Also, the Emily was a co-worker of Mollie Tibbetts, we learned, and she actually texted Dalton after Mollie disappeared, and the defense read that. It said, "Dalt, is Mollie alive?" That's a text that Emily sent him. So he was still well in communications with other females. It all brought out on cross-examination. I don't know if he knew this was coming or not, Vinny, but all of his past was before everyone today on cross-examination.
An interesting choice of words by the defense attorney, calling it an affair. I mean, he's not married to Molly, and these other women, whether it's Jordan Lamb or Tara or Emily, are they married to other people?
That didn't come out today, not sure.
All right, so I don't know I'd have to look up the precise definition of affair, but usually we reserve that for people who are married. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I think it's just called cheating, I think, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's the way. But it's interesting because it goes to, all right, well, what exactly is going on here? And is this like a Scott Peterson situation, right? Where Scott Peterson was having an affair on Lacey Peterson with Amber Fry and suddenly becomes a reason for him to get rid of Lacey. But I don't think the jury could put these pieces together, but it seems that's kind of what the defense is sort of hinting at through this cross-examination.
It is. It's one of many things they're hinting at here. And again, remember, they didn't give the opening statement, so we don't know what direction they're going in. But I think this pretty much gives it away that they're going to point to other people and try to raise reasonable doubt on cross-examination because, Vinny, it's the other woman. He's a cheater, liar. But also, they point out his anger issues, ask him about his short fuse. Of course, he justifies it. Oh, that was when I was 16 or 17, and this happened when I was 20 years old. I wasn't having these anger issues. But also his credibility and conflicting stories, they point that out. They also point out that Molly was going to leave him or going to move out, not live with him anymore, going to live with other friends, and that he admitted he was angry about that. So maybe they're trying to set this up that he was angry, you can't trust him, he was with these other women, maybe some motive. We'll just have to wait and see.
Wow. Then there was the part, and watching his testimony, it seemed like he did not want to be there, and I think he basically admitted that much. Let's take a listen.
You know, we're here on a charge of murder for the love of your life, right?
Yes.
And I'm getting I don't recall a lot of you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you want the man who did this brought to justice, right?
Yes.
And you haven't thought about this and poured it over in your mind to have every detail remembered?
When I was asked if I wanted to be here voluntarily, I said absolutely not. So no.
So you did not want to be here voluntarily?
No, I didn't want to be in the same room as your defendant there.
Oh. So you didn't want to come give testimony to get justice for your love of your life?
No.
You wouldn't be here to fight for her?
No.
Why do you not want to be sitting in this room with that guy, with this man?
I wholeheartedly believe he's guilty.
Wow. I mean, usually people aren't allowed to testify that they believe the defendant is guilty. It just sort of came out there. But it was an awkward moment on cross-examination. How do you think that it was left for this jury?
When it first came out, it was on cross-examination, and it wasn't clear why he didn't want to be here. He wasn't there voluntarily, and the defense was taking advantage of that. You know, like we just witnessed, you don't want to be here to help the love of your life who was murdered. You don't want to be here to help get her justice, but you don't want to be here for Mollie Tibbetts, and he would say no. So that's when on redirect, the prosecution rehabilitated him and gave him an opportunity to say that it's because I don't want to be in the room with that guy. I believe he's guilty. And Vinny, his demeanor, Dalton's demeanor throughout all of the direct and crosses, it was pretty consistent, not really emotional until that moment when he said, I wholeheartedly believe he's guilty. I noticed his face turned red.
So I just want to clear up one thing, the love of his life. Are those his words, or are those the words of the defense attorney putting them in his mouth in cross-examination?
I believe that came from the defense attorney. I could be wrong. He could have said it on direct, but I don't recall it from my memory that he said that on direct examination. But the defense attorney was definitely using that terminology over and over again on cross-examination.
Yeah, I think, obviously they're young. They're 19, 20 years old. The relationship, 3 years. Yeah, it's a lot. That's a long time when you're that young. But it's interesting to watch the defense, I think, try to turn this into a very serious relationship and to create some level of motive for Dalton Jack to take the life of Mollie Tibbetts. I think that's where they're going, Chanley. I think you're right. Chanley Painter live in Davenport, Iowa tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Benny.